What's going on, everybody? Nick Daniels here, coming at you live yet again. And today we're going to talk about a dating story. Not necessarily a fail, but not a win either. Can explain it. So obviously, as these dating fails and all that usually go, we're going to leave out a couple key details, just so it keeps it a little bit more mysterious. Anyway, I've got a match online with a girl. Hinge, I believe. We talked for a little while. Conversation seemed okay online. I wouldn't, and I apologize if the camera's a little dark at times. It's, yeah, you got it. You know what's going on. Anyway, conversation online's fine. It's nothing to write home about, but it's definitely okay. And anyway, prompted for the coffee. I normally don't do a coffee date anymore. I'll explain why. So going for a drink to me is the coffee. It's just that it's a little better because you can go, normally if you go for a drink, you would go to a bar or a pub or something, I would assume. Even a tap house for crying out loud. And normally you can get food. So if things are going really, really well and I want to grab a bite to eat with her, I could do that, right? And most times if I do that, I'm grabbing an appetizer. I'm grabbing a snack. It's a little dark, one sec. I'm gonna adjust. Okay, there we go. It might be a little too bright, but we'll worry about that when we get to it. I'm sorry if you can just hear people, by the way, screaming everywhere. They got kayaks right there in the water. They're just going to town. So anyway, like I said, we do the coffee, and that's why I like the drink. It's more casual. You can unwind with the beer, and it's kind of like, to me, it's like the adult coffee. I would do the coffee when I was younger, and then eventually I think as funny it is to say, I think I've kind of aged out of the coffee. But I have nothing against doing a coffee date. It's the same premise, just without the liquid courage. So anyway, we do the coffee. It's a cute little spot I've never been, and I just grab some lemonade, basically, just something to get you going. Now, the problem is I don't know how long a coffee date goes for. I know how long a drink goes for, but I don't know how long a coffee goes for, a coffee date. So I just kind of judged it at like an hour, right? And I think that was good. I think you get an idea. Definitely in our conversation at the coffee, there was a few moments where I was kind of grasping for something, to talk about. Definitely having a hard time with things. And that happens, right? You're two people you haven't met before. Can be a little awkward. Again, that's why I prefer the drink. I think the drink helps. Now it might be a little too bright on the camera, but I'd rather a little too bright, I think, than a little too dark. So you'll have to deal with it. So we do that. I just wrapped it up. I was like, hey, I got whatever, right? Which was actually true. I wasn't lying. I just left slightly sooner than I needed to. But I was like, yeah, I got something going on. Thank you very much. Okay. So I don't think we ended the date on a bad note. We had a good time. And I was a little uncertain about this woman, really 50-50. But I wanted to give it another try. It's a coffee date. In my opinion, on a coffee date, you're not going to get the full picture on somebody. So it was like, okay, let's see her again. Let's give it a go. And we'll go from there. So I prompted an arcade. Okay. Now we have a couple in particular in the area, but one that's dedicated to it. It's not like a bar or something like that. We do have a few of those too. But yeah, it's just full on basically arcade. A lot of kids just running around. But it's a decent location. And one of the biggest reasons I picked it was because it would be something good it'd just be fun. That'd be the first one. But it's something that you can kind of you don't have to talk the entire time. You don't have to have a conversation the entire time. There's just a guy standing straight out on the path. I have no idea what's going on. I think they're trying to feel it out because it's starting to rain. I'm feeling a couple raindrops, which I knew were coming. That's why I'm laughing that there's people in kayaks out there, because supposedly it's going to thunder shower. So wait here a second. But anyway, so I took her to the arcade. And the arcade's really cool because, like I said, it's fun, it's interactive, and you're not focusing on talking the entire time. So it's Personally, I think it's a great first date spot, actually, but this worked out well. So how it works too is you just get basically like a badge, and you just put money on it, and you can just continuously, like a card, and you can just continuously keep putting money to it. So I don't have to walk in there for like 20 bucks cash or a Visa and, you know, and do that. So I got there deliberately a couple minutes early with the card I already had, just put some money on it, I think like 50 bucks, which is roughly 2 hours. Or sorry, it'd be like, depending on two people, it'd be like, yeah, it'd be about an hour to 2 hours for two people. You know, depending how fast you're going and all that, because sometimes like you're not going like game to game to game, you would take a break or something. We did go a little faster because it's just two people and we're swiping it like just endlessly, which is fine. So I think it went really well, that date. But I noticed that she was just like following me around a lot, which is fine, but it was like clearly like I'm leading this expedition, you know, if you would call it that. So like I would be walking, like I'd be going to the next game, and I'd be looking behind me, like over my shoulder, and she'd be right there, you know, like just following. And I would prompt her, you know, occasionally to be like, hey, do you want to try this? Do you have your eye on a game that you would want to play? There's a lot of options here, right? And, you know, she just kind of seemed to do whatever I wanted to play, which was okay. You know, I mean, I like to play, I like playing. Let's just say that. I like playing, and I like the arcade. So, like, naturally, I'm just going to go there, and I'm down to go play games. So it's like, if you just want to chill out, I'm down with that. I'm not going to oppose that. But keep in mind, I'm going to play games. I'm going to have a good time. So, I mean, like, date-wise, I think it went okay. We get outside, and we're just hanging by our car in the parking lot. And I was like thinking in my mind, I was like, okay, like I should probably make a move of some kind. You know, you got to break that physical contact barrier. I haven't broke it yet. So it was like, you got to break it. And I find you got to break that on the first to second date. Second date by the absolute latest, or you're probably a little bit in trouble. That would have been like with Megan. There were some issues there. Smell of fire. Just saying. Anyway, so yeah, so I ended up just making out with her a little bit, and had the Y on, so I think that that reeled her in a little bit more. Anyway, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll play it by ear from there. Okay, and that's, you know, let's be honest, that's in my opinion kind of a bit of a W, because I haven't really got to make it with a girl in a long time, so that was a big win. But I mean, like, yeah, up to that point, so far so good. Okay, but I think like I still had like slight doubts about the Palladium, like about the Palladium date. But I didn't want to, again, I just didn't want to 100%, like I had to think on it, right? But I wanted to still continue seeing this person and treading and seeing what's going on. That's why I wanted to continue and get that contact barrier out of the way, because once you see each other so many times and you haven't broke the contact barrier, it's interesting. In my opinion, there's not a lot of hope. It starts getting a little grim, because it's almost at that point, like they're not going to think you're interested, and you might not think they're interested, right? I know it is typically up to the guy to do it, but hey, depends on the body language too, right? So, got to read it. So now after is where the downfall came. So unfortunately, this person seemed to be like quite into me, and I was still like 50-50. Even after the makeout, I was like, yeah, okay. Anyway, we had plans on the weekend, like coming up. So we had planned like several days, you know, like 6 days away, something like that. So it was like, cool. And she had texted me throughout the week two times. And it would be like, yeah, so it'd be like 4 p.m. and she'd text me, you know, and it'd be like, hey, like, do you want to go do X, you know? And I was like, you know, I'm at work. You know, I finish in an hour. I want to go home. You know, I'll be honest, I'm an introvert by trade. Most people don't believe that, but I am. Swear to God. And with that kind of being said, I like to go home sometimes, and a lot of the time actually, who am I kidding? Most of the time, I like to get home, man, and I just want to relax. I want to kick my feet up. I don't want to go do anything. I don't want to go anywhere. You know, I don't want to hit a hike. I just want to chill. You know, and she'd be asking me to like go to a lighthouse and catch a sunset. I think that was one of them, and the other one was like a hike. and both of them I just kind of politely declined. You know, like I'd be like, oh, listen, like I'm pooped from work. I don't have energy to go hike, you know, for an evening hike. And I normally only do a hike on a weekend. To me, that's a weekend thing for me. So like it could be a nice Saturday. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll go for a hike. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, like I was saying, I kind of lost my train of thought slightly there, but I think we'll capture that back. Needless to say, though, I politely declined the two offers, and it was just both during the week. One was a hike, and I could be wrong, but I think the other was like, you know, go check out like a sunset or something. And both of them, if I were into somebody heavily, I'd probably do it, but I still wasn't 100%. And she sniffed it out. And it kind of was the point. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I could tell by that, and this person's texting style, they were into me, and I was like, okay. You know, she would text like, I'm not gonna lie, she texts like, I wouldn't say very sudden, but like if I were to wait, say 3 hours and shoot her a message, she'd respond within like 2 minutes, you know, and it can be a bit much. Not always, but it can be a bit much, you know, and depending on the person too. Some people are a little more into that, and some people aren't. I'm a little bit more or less so. So anyway, so that being said, I politely declined it too, and I did too. I wasn't a dick about it, you know. I was just like, hey, listen, you know, I'm kind of pooped, you know. Hey, we got plans on Saturday. Let's stick to those, if you're cool with that. You know, like I'll see you in 3 days. You know, like it's not the end of the world. I'm gonna get a view of the water here. This will be nice. Just hoping nobody's out here. Oh, never mind. They're right there. There's a group of people like literally right there. It's starting to come down though with the rain, so we'll see how this goes, because again, it's supposed to come down with a thunder shower. I don't really want to get caught up in this, but people are still kind of chilling. So I don't know what's going on. People just risking it. But yeah, we'll try to wrap it up here. So like I said though, the big thing was after that, she just kind of ghosted. We never made the weekend plan. It never happened. It was kind of more or less anyway. It wasn't 100% a plan for the weekend. It was more like, hey, like I was thinking this for the weekend, like, you know, like say like mini putt, you know, bowling or something. And then she's like, oh yeah, like that'd be sick, you know. And then you kind of go with it, like I would have planned it out like Thursday, Friday. But yeah, I just stopped hearing from her. Just got the ghost. I'm not gonna lie, I was actually kind of okay with it. It's like odd. But I think it was after the date of the arcade, I just started having like second doubts about her. Like I just wasn't 100% anymore. So I think that really played a big role in how I'm looking at it. Man, it's interesting to see like when people just look. Like I put the camera down. I don't talk to the camera at all when people walk by. And it's just interesting that you see some people will just gawk the entire time. They won't look away, like, because I think they're just trying to understand, you know, like, why am I here and why do I have all this gear? You know, like they don't get it. So it's pretty much wrapping that up in general. I think that's pretty much got everything we need to say about the date. Like I said, I don't think it necessarily went bad by any means, but what does surprise me is the fact that I just kind of countered with, hey, we're going to be seeing each other in a few days. I think it's cool if we just kind of, you know, like I'm kind of tied up, you know, I'm not feeling it, whatever it was. But yeah, just to decline those two offers and then be like, yeah, I'm just going to see you in 3 days, you know, like, let's do that. You know, sometimes I have a busy schedule, right? And I can't always link up with 2 hours notice, you know, or like an hour's notice. So it's just, I will admit, it was a little surprising to me that resulted in me getting ghosted. Not necessarily a bad thing either. Like I wasn't like, yeah, you can tell, I wasn't like complaining about it per se, but I was a little surprised, to say the least. Because yeah, it's just like, that's never, I did not expect that to result in that, you know. You know, I could see this person being like, what the hell? You know, I want to hang out. But I don't think it's like me not necessarily showing interest. I think it was me quite literally being like, yeah, I'm not feeling a hike at 6 p.m. at night on a Tuesday. You know, like I'm finishing work at 5. You know, I'm just saying, like, it's not the first thing on my list to go home and do. I want to go home and relax tonight. Yeah, so I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I gotta get out of this rain, man. Car's like coming right up, so we outie. All right, take it easy. Peace.